Guys, buildarray.com. Think of it like an enterprise version of Typeform. They've got their biggest customer paying almost $250,000 per year. They're doing 50 grand a month right now in revenue, up from 20 grand a year ago and up from 10 grand a month back in 2020 when they raised a 1.3 million seed round with a 7 million cap. They're building efficiently here. 80 customers paying call it between 500 and $1,000 a month on average. Team of 6. They outsource some of their engineering to simform.com as Matt looks to scale. Hey, folks, my guest today is Matt Doyle. He's building enterprise forms and automation at buildarray.com. He's got a fascinating entrepreneurial career that includes opening the markets at the NASDAQ, lunch with Richard Branson, a failed professional snowboarding career, and he spent the last 3 years building Array into the platform it is today. His hands-on visionary leadership drives the team forward to overcome obstacle by following the guiding principles. Listen hard, change fast, think big, start small. Matt, you ready to take us to the top?
Yeah, sounds great. Good introduction. Thanks very much.
I appreciate that. Okay, so enterprise forms and automation. I mean, I think forms and I think like SurveyMonkey, Typeform. You're like an enterprise version of those guys?
Yeah, that on steroids. So we tend to sort of like work with big enterprises like Walmart, things like that. People who need to sort of take those types of paperwork up to the next level. So operations type paperwork. We tend to sort of displace legacy systems in organizations.
Well, my audience, when they think about like Typeform and they think about like what Walmart might need on top of their Typeform, give me an example. What is something Walmart needs that only you can
Yeah.
deliver?
Not all forms are created equal. Like some forms are used for surveys. Typeform is a fantastic tool for surveys, question by question. That's not what we try and be. That's not what we are. We're operational paperwork. We're things where Excel is used for data collection, fillable PDFs, paper and pen, clipboards. So our applications work offline. You can do things like signatures, repeatable fields, conditional logic, mathematical equations. We're used for doing food safety checks, audits, compliance. So that's the type of stuff we're doing. It's just not where sort of Typeform would want to operate in. So that's the
Yeah,
kind of areas we're working.
this is super interesting. Just looking at how you describe it on your website, I think it's cool. Turn paperwork into a mobile app, right?
Yeah.
So let's dive more into the story here, right? So I want to get more of your background. Before we do that, though, obviously Walmart is a big enterprise customer, but what does the average customer pay you per month or per year to use the technology?
Well, we have that saying, think big but start small, because we want people as they're approaching new technology, they want to be able to try it out. They want to do a free version. So in Array, you can go there today. You can sign up for a free account. It has like a limitation on submissions. It's designed for trying to start doing offline data collection. So we have mobile applications for iOS and Android. So if you're doing some kind of field-based work, it's going to be fantastic for that. It's free. But then we have like the top pack is like $40 per user per month. But we range for people who have just one or two users up to the bigger people who have thousands of users.
So don't name the logo, obviously, but your biggest customer is paying what per year or range?
The biggest is 20,000 plus a month.
So what would they be getting? I mean, how many seats are they paying for if I'm paying you $250,000 a year?
Yeah, when it goes up to that area, like sometimes these industries, it doesn't per seat license, it doesn't always make sense, and that's the thing for any founder is probably going to find is software as a service makes sense to a point, but then as soon as you get up to the higher volumes, it doesn't make sense for different reasons. So it could be that they have thousands of users, but like they only fill in something once or twice a week, right? And can you really warrant spending that can you warrant charging them that amount of money? Or maybe the value proposition is in a different place. So we work with insurance companies and insurance adjusters. So like they might have sporadic people that come in and do the work, but every time they do the work, it's worth quite a lot because it's per claim. So we tend to sort of work on billing in a different way. One thing we always try and do with our pricing is remove complexity so that we never stop them using the product to its full degree. So we never want to set pricing that they're trying to game the amount of users they have. So we'll start to give people up to a certain amount of users for a price. So knowing that they're going to fluctuate up and down a bit. But so that we know where we are as a company in MRR and ARR, and we know that they're using the product properly. Because I'm a product founder really, and I want to make sure people are actually like getting the most value from the product and they're using it correctly. And so sometimes a typical per seat license at that higher volume doesn't make a ton of sense.
Fair. I'm going to push you into average here just because it's so wide. It's hard for me to focus my questions when it's so wide. Would you say sort of the average team signing up for you is paying for like 10 seats or 100 seats?
$1,000 a month.
Okay, which is what, about 15, 20 seats?
Yeah.
Okay. Fair enough. Oh, what's going on there, YouTube? Good to see you guys. Now imagine this. You love watching these interviews with SaaS founders, but imagine if we took all of the valuation data out from over 2,807 interviews I've done manually. Saves you a lot of time. Well, we've done this. We've built it into the beautiful interface inside of FounderPath. Check this out. I'll show you how you can access this in a second, but you log in, you connect your Stripe account, you see your valuation real time, you can see what it changed over the past 88 days, and even set goals for valuation this year. Now, the secret to valuation is there's many different ways to value a SaaS business. So the reason you're going to see 3 or 4 different valuations inside of your FounderPath dashboard, this is all free by the way, is because depending on who's doing the buying of your SaaS company, you're going to get a different valuation. A VC is going to pay a different valuation. Private equity firm is different. If you're going to do a minority sale, that's different. And if you sell the whole business, that's a different valuation. You can see all those when I hover over here. Right, so the teal is what a VC would pay, yellow is what private equity, and red is if you sold the whole thing outright. Now, what's cool about this is not built off random data. Again, you guys hear these interviews on YouTube. All these data are built from real-time valuation data points founders share with us on the show. So traction, 1.2 million, seed round, 3.7 raise, they sold 22% of their business. Go in here and filter by the event. Maybe you only want to see companies that have sold the whole business. Well, here are a bunch that have been acquired, the valuation and the multiple. Maybe you're going out right now and you're raising your seed round. Well, go in here and look at all this recent seed deals that went down, what they raised, what valuation they raised at, and what percent that they sold. There's never been a larger data set of SaaS valuations than what you can get now inside of FounderPath, and we're thrilled to bring it to you. All right, we're going to go back to the YouTube video here in a second, but if you want to check this tool out, if you want to jump in and sign up, you can check it out for free to get your valuation at this link, founderpath.com/products/valuations. Or if you go to founderpath.com and hover over products, click on get your valuation here and go ahead and sign up to give it a whirl. Again, all that valuation data live right inside the platform. I hope to see you there. All right, let's jump back into the interview. Put this on a timeline for me here. When did you launch the business? What year?
So we launched quite a while ago as an MVP. Like I said, I'm a product founder, so it's quite a few years back. We launched a little product that was called Launch Cloud.
When was that though?
It was about 7 years. 7 years. We had a little MVP. Yeah, thanks for doing the math for me on that one. And we were working with field marketing companies. We worked with brands directly. So we worked with people like Nintendo, Bosch, Coca-Cola. And we found the problem with that market is it's very kind of fickle. You know, they've got a campaign going on. You're the biggest thing, but then the campaign comes to an end. So then 3.5 years ago, I moved to America. We had this base product with a little bit of revenue. We rebranded and became Array, buildarray.com, and focused more on operation and risk. So we started working on new functionality within the product that lended itself to that industry. And that was the first time we raised money. So about 2 years ago, we raised our first pre-seed round. Before that, it was bootstrapped, just this little app that was for some marketing agencies. And that's where the big pivot happened for us.
And how much did you raise in 2020?
1.3 million.
And why did you need that money? I mean, obviously, bootstrapping is a beautiful thing. You have 100% control, no board. It's great. Why give up that freedom?
Well, it's a blessing and a curse. Like, you're able to make a lot of mistakes behind, without too many people seeing when you're bootstrapping. But it's just, with software as a service, if you can't kind of figure out how to get lots of customers really quick, and that can be hard for B2B companies like us, right? If you're someone like Typeform, you might be able to, although they did raise a ton of money, there's lots of viral ways that you could acquire customers. But we weren't able to do stuff like that. So we needed to raise capital and go after some of these more enterprise level customers. So we wanted to, and also we wanted to pay our staff better. We wanted to retain people. We wanted to hire
How many
people.
folks are full-time today?
So back when we raised the capital, it was only like 2 of us working on it. And now there's about 10.
Okay. And how many of the 10 are engineers?
3.
3. Okay. Very cool. And then I guess fast forward, right? So your first customers came from probably Launch Cloud users migrating into the Build Array product. How many customers are you serving now today?
About 70 to 80.
Okay, 80. Got it. Got it. So you can afford to put like a big setup fee, a lot of touch on these things, right?
We can, but we try and let them start small and expand. So typically a customer will start around the $300 mark and then scale up. So the enterprise market that we've been focusing on now, they scale over and above that $1,000 mark within about 12 months. They'll be up.
Now, Matt, if I'm doing my math right, 80 customers paying an average of $1,000 a month means you're flirting with that beautiful $1 million a year run rate. You're doing about 80,000 bucks a month right now in revenue. Is that about right?
Not quite, because there's a lot. There's a lot of those legacy customers that used to pay the $15 a month fee. But I'd say second quarter of next year is the plan to be where you're saying.
Fair. Okay, so you're more like 40, 50,000 a month right now.
Yes, we're like some of the upgrades that are coming in. So I told you about landing, expanding. January and Q1 is where all these big upgrades clunk into place, and so we'll be
that's
up
awesome. So if you're at $50,000 a month today, where were you exactly a year ago? So we can calculate growth.
We've probably grown about 130%. So year and a half ago,
$20,000 a month about a year ago.
Yeah. So when we raised that VC money about a year and a half ago, we were making about 10K a month, and now about 50K a month.
Well, you closed at 1.3 pre-seed in 2020, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that would have been like over 20 months ago, right? Or almost 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So you're doing 10 grand a month then? I see. Okay. And then if you double that to 20 grand a month last year, and then you 130% grow on top of 20 grand, puts you at 50 grand a month today. This is great. I mean, healthy revenue per employee. I mean, look, 10 employees, right, at $600,000 ARR is not terrible of revenue per employee for you guys at an early stage, right? You're hiring ahead of growth a little bit here. So, what are the other? Explain to me what the other 7 people on the team do. 3 engineers, and then what?
So we got 3 full-time engineers. There's myself. We have a marketing guy. We have customer support people, and then there is some people who, I don't know if you asked this, like full-time employees or part-time. I might have misunderstood, but some of those people are part-time as well. So
how many are full-time of the 10?
I'd say 5 or 6.
Okay, interesting. Very cool. And then how do you decide what to hire in-house for versus what you put on contractors?
Yeah, we have some external developers who are, I didn't mention in that 3, which do look after our iOS and Android apps. So because we don't need a ton of work on our apps, they're pretty good. It's only when things come up or features, that's one that we do like that. And then we have some part-time a support agent in the UK. So he doesn't need to be full-time. He just needs to cover that time zone. So there's that. And then we have people just doing bookkeeping here and there, or accountancy and stuff like that. So things that are just services.
How did you find those outsourced developers? Did you work with a firm? And if so, what was the URL?
I've worked with a lot of external developers with mixed success over time, and often like external people, they kind of go through seasons. Like they'll be amazing, and if something happens in their life or whatever, and things go not so good. But this company, I'm happy to recommend them. I'm on their website as a testimony. So they're called SimForm. Nothing to do with forms. Not sure why they have that name, but it's SimForm, and it was a fellow founder from one of our venture capital partners who recommended we should try them out. And we do. We use them for QA, and we use them for iOS and Android. And I've used them some React Native development as well.
Yeah, they charge about $35 per hour for a senior front-end React engineer. My friends over at Yak do SimForm on the side.
It was Justin who recommended them to me, actually.
Yeah, Justin's great. I always try and collect the really good outsourced dev shops that founders are using, because then I can recommend them out. So there's another one, guys, for SimForm. All right, very cool. And then I think a lot of founders, when they work with an outsourced dev firm, they expect that firm is just going to do everything for them. You have to really give a strong spec to get success with an outsourced firm. Like, how do you make sure and you set SimForm up for success?
Well, we got a great CTO, Michael Hudson, who's based in the UK. But I'm a designer, so I give them all the designs. They have the full designs they have there. And so normally, like I said, the apps are mainly being maintained at this point. So we were moving from one company to another, so they were taking over. That's a good thing about SimForm. Most agencies don't really want to take on someone else's code, and I understand why. That makes a lot of sense. But they were good, and they helped us take on that legacy code and helped us improve it and squash any bugs that we had. But nowadays, they're kind of working on things that kind of already exist, and they're just enhancing them or improving them. So the scopes don't have to be super complex, but you're right. Good designs, well thought through designs, and good scope of like each project, and breaking those down into small sprints if you're building from scratch. And again, our CTO is very senior. So he's there to help their team because they have project managers. They do have senior people, but sometimes you've got people who just need a bit more hand holding.
Yep.
And having a CTO that understands, who can maybe coach them a little bit, has been helpful too.
Now, you mentioned your pre-seed round, you raised 1.3 million. Most folks are selling about 20% of the company in pre-seed rounds. Were you in that same sort of range?
We had a convertible note. So we had a safe note. And so
same thing. You have a cap, right? So 5 million cap.
But it's 7 million cap.
7 million cap. Looking back now, is that the right number?
Yeah, I think so.
Any plans to convert them? Any plans for an equity round?
We started a little bit this year, and it was just a bit frothy. So we decided to cut costs, cut some expenses that were around the business, and get these like larger enterprise clients that were starting to upgrade. Just get them in the door, get them to where we knew they were going to go, and we're going to be doing a seed round in the new year.
That's awesome. All right, very good. Let's wrap up here with the famous 5. Number 1, favorite book.
I'd say probably Crossing the Chasm.
Yep. Number 2, is there a CEO you're following or studying?
I mean, we're all following Elon Musk these days, aren't we? But I've always been a big fan of him before it was cool.
Fair enough. Number 3, what's your favorite online tool for building array?
I love Figma.
And number 4, how many hours of sleep do you get every night?
6.
Okay. And what's your situation? Married, single, kids?
Married, 2 kids, a 4-year-old and a 6-year-old, a dog and a cat.
Busy guy. How old are you?
I'm just turned 37, October 12th.
Happy late birthday. What is something you wish you knew when you were 20?
It's a big question, I think, actually. I think always keep hold of your kind of innocence about things and excitement about things, because startups is very kinetic and very physical, and it can take it out of you. And so always try and keep that innocence and excitement about things.
Guys, buildarray.com. Think of it like an enterprise version of Typeform. They've got their biggest customer paying almost $250,000 per year. They're doing 50 grand a month right now in revenue, up from 20 grand a year ago and up from 10 grand a month back in 2020 when they raised a 1.3 million seed round with a 7 million cap. They're building efficiently here. 80 customers paying call it between $500 and $1,000 a month on average. Team of 6. They outsource some of their engineering to simform.com as Matt looks to scale efficiently. Matt, thanks for taking us to the top.
Thank you very much.
One more thing before you go. We have a brand new show every Thursday at 1 p.m. Central. It's called Shark Tank for SaaS. We call it Deal or Bust. One founder comes on, 3 hungry buyers. They try and do a deal live, and the founder shares back-end dashboards, their expenses, their revenue, ARPU, CAC, LTV, you name it, they share it. And the buyers try and make a deal live. It is fun to watch every Thursday, 1 p.m. Central. Additionally, remember, these recorded founder interviews go live. We release them here on YouTube every day at 2 p.m. Central. To make sure you don't miss any of that, make sure you click the subscribe button below here on YouTube, the big red button, and then click the little bell notification to make sure you get notifications when we do go live. I wouldn't want you to miss breaking news in the SaaS world, whether it's an acquisition, a big fundraise, a big sale, a big profitability statement, or something else. I don't want you to miss it. Additionally, if you want to take this conversation deeper and further, we have by far the largest private Slack community for B2B SaaS founders. You want to get in there. We've probably talked about your tool if you're running a company, or your firm if you're investing. You can go in there and quickly search and see what people are saying. Sign up for that at nathanlatka.com/Slack. In the meantime, I'm hanging out with you here on YouTube. I'll be in the comments for the next 30 minutes. Feel free to let me know what you thought about this episode. And if you enjoyed it, click the thumbs up. We get a lot of haters that are mad at how aggressive I am on these shows, but I do it so that we can all learn. We have to counter those people. We got to push them away. Click the thumbs up below to counter them, and know that I appreciate your guys' support. All right, I'll be in the comments. See ya.